Bustin' mad like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sight like a lot.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, and today I want to talk to you guys about something I've seen pop up immediately after release of the spoilers for Boruto Chapter 72, and has only grown more rampant in the aftermath of the chapter officially being released, which is now that Code has created miniature versions of the Ten Tails which are infused with this chakra to make them even stronger. Are we now on the precipice of a 5th grade ninja war? Now, I've talked in the past in a couple of videos on how a 5th grade ninja war almost happened in the Boruto era during this time of peace, which I recommend checking that video out after you finish this video, but that was ultimately derailed due to the actions that Naruto took as Hokage. But this is something different altogether. This move by Code has people thinking that the 5 great nations are going to need to join together to mobilize a fighting force to fight off Code now that he's got control over a Ten Tails army that he's created, and this Ten Tails army can use his claw mark jutsu. However, how likely is that to happen? Right now, as of this recording, I'm putting it at a very low possibility that we see a war declared right now, simply for the fact that Code, while he is a world-ending problem, and so too is a Ten Tails level threat, let alone an army of Ten Tails soldiers amped up on chakra from somebody who's stronger than Jigen, logistically this would be a hell of a nightmare to even consider. Part of the reason why there was a pretty decent gap in time between the declaration of the war and the 4th Great Ninja War itself is we had the issues of, yes, getting the feudal lords of the 5 nations to agree to this alliance, but you also had to move heaven and earth to mobilize 80,000 shinobi and clear out 3 entire countries in order to make room for a battlefield. Roles have to be assigned, squads have to be put together. There's a lot, but most importantly, staying on the topic of logistics, the logistics side of this would be different than any other time before. In the first 3 great ninja wars, you knew where the battlefield was going to be and you knew who the enemy was. In the 4th Great Ninja War, an expanded area was set aside, and once you had a rough idea of where the enemy would be at, because the enemy's hideout and stationary locations were roughly figured out, that was something you could handle. This time it's completely different. Code is currently in another dimension where nobody can access it if they don't know the coordinates. While Boruto and Kawaki are both Otsutsuki genetically, it remains to be seen if they can focus to find that specific location. Code was able to find it because he had already marked it, which we saw on Boruto chapter 35 in page 16, where when you zoom in on Ishiki's markers, you can see that Code actually has his claw mark already marked. In the past, we saw Boruto and Kawaki find Ishiki's dimension where Jigen sealed away Naruto, but that could be due to the chakra, the karma being linked. In that case, Kawaki and Jigen's karmas being linked and both of them being vessels for Ishiki. And even in that moment right there, that was a fluke. While it's possible that Kawaki figures out how to reverse track the location with this karma, do we really think that karma is going to keep a portal open up long enough for an entire army to go through it? And if it's a small team, like when Sasuke opened a portal for himself, the 4 Kage, Boruto, Katasuke, and Katasuke's aide, can we really say that that's a war and it's not something like an S-rank mission being assigned to Kage plus level fighters to go try and apprehend the enemy? The other problem is that Code's Ten Tails have shown the ability to be able to teleport with his claw marks. We know this from the manga when the claw marks were first revealed to us, that Code has claw marks set up outside of each of the 5 great nations, in particular at the front doorstep of each of the 5 villages. Code right now appears to be mobilizing for an attack. He's using law number 31 of the 48 laws of power, which is to control the options and force people to play with the cards that you dealt, and he's also using another one of the laws from the 48 laws of power, which talks about stabilizing your forces or concentrating your forces, which is exactly what he's done by splitting up these Ten Tails and making it so they're all connected, so he's better able to keep an eye on them while making them more useful instead of keeping them as a sitting target. If the Ten Tails monsters start popping up outside of the other villages, the Kage in each village are in the position that Tsunade was in during the Pain of Sodar. You have to somehow respond to an enemy, perhaps multiple enemies, wreaking havoc on your village while also overseeing the evacuation of safety for non-combatants, while also coordinating attacks for your shinobi and potentially put yourself at risk if the elites inside of your village end up falling. If Code just focused his efforts solely on Konoha, the issue of sending word to the other Kage and the issue of having time to mobilize the Kage becomes an issue. The other Kage need time to get to Konoha, time that would not be afforded to them in Konoha's hour of need. Do they take the trains or other transportation? Sure, that's possible, but it still takes time to travel from village to village. Now, there are exceptions like Naruto and Sasuke, sure. In the Boruto era, we saw Sasuke travel to the land of snow and back in only a day's time, and the guy carried out a whole investigation with no Rinnegan, mind you, and we now know that it's a 3-day journey under normal circumstances due to this manga chapter because Amato said it could take 3 to 4 days. However, that's Sasuke. Your standard Jonin running to Konoha for backup, or even like say Kankuro, isn't going to make it there in time, which as a reminder, the Sand Village to Leaf Village is a 3-day journey by foot, but the fact that you'd even send Kankuros like sending Kiba to try and fight Inosuke, I would rather take my chances by myself. Now, I don't think Code is going to bring the other villages into any sort of conflict because his goals are pretty straightforward. You're attacking Konoha, destroying Konoha, killing Shikamaru, killing Sasuke, killing Naruto, feeding the Ten Tails Boruto Uzumaki, and then slowly killing Kawaki after making him suffer by watching everything. Right now, those options are more than possible right now. Kawaki's still learning how to draw out Ishiki's powers and his abilities, but he has shown quite the mastery over them, but Kawaki's still figuring it out. Now, Boruto and Naruto and Sasuke, they're no match for Kawaki, and by extension, they're no match for Code. Ada and Damon right now have 3 to 4 days to travel to the village, and even if Ada cuts on her Senrigan and sees what's happening and she snatches up Amato and she and Damon run at full speed to Konoha, that is still a considerable amount of time for a Ten Tails army to do damage that cannot be stopped. Then even if they get there, we run into the issue, can Ada's powers even work on a Ten Tails being? Yes, it's been amped by Code's chakra, but genetically, it might be a loophole for Ada's powers. Technically, we don't know genetically what a Ten Tails is. We know it's got some backing to the Otsutsuki clan, but is a Ten Tails Otsutsuki genetically? That's never been emphatically stated. Now, if her powers can't work on it, she's basically removed because she doesn't care for fighting despite the fact she has raw power over Jigen, but she says her taijutsu is only basic. Damon could touch some random old lady in Konoha and cut on his reflection, but the issue comes on how widespread is his reflection ability when it comes into play. Based off of everything we've seen so far, it looks like it only applies to Damon and whoever is in his immediate contact. Right now, if Code is targeting the village for revenge, he's gotten extremely lucky, and by extension, so too have Boruto and Kawaki. They're being assembled for another mission that only they can carry out. They'll be leaving the village, and they're probably going to be going to Ada, Amato, and Damon. They'll be away from Code during that time, but you've also got the issue of fighting off such a powerful force. Right now, I think any talk of this being the catalyst for the 5th Great Ninja War is premature. Code has too many options to either go straight to Konoha or use the Ten Tails to teleport in and out the various villages, to use the element of surprise to tactically weaken the other allies. Naruto might be counting on to help oppose Code outright by destroying them. A Ten Tails level threat is something the Kage are united on, and if we look at their reactions after the Ishiki battle, we can gather they aren't afraid of fighting a Ten Tails level threat even after Naruto lost Kurama. It wasn't, oh my god, we have to fight another Ten Tails. It was, oh, we have to fight the Ten Tails again. Okay, we'll deal with it when we have to deal with it. They seem pretty damn confident. Now, this is just my personal opinion on this. I kind of feel like declaring another ninja war after the utter chaos that was the 4th Great Ninja War is going to require a huge one-upsmanship. It's a very similar situation to the Marvel Cinematic Universe following Endgame, where you just had a universe level threat in Thanos snapping out half of existence in the universe, and afterwards the Avengers disassembled basically once Thanos was defeated. You can't just bring that team back for just anything. The next Avengers movie has to be something like Avengers vs. X-Men, or what they're currently doing with Avengers 5 being the Kang Multiverse War, and then you do Secret Wars. We're at a point like that for Boruto right now. A 5th Great Ninja War has to feel large scale, otherwise it feels cheap, and while it is cool as hell, a Ten Tails army with Code's claw mark abilities, I I personally don't know if this is where you go with the 5th Great Ninja War. I kind of feel like the next time you see all the Shinobi Alliance kind of gather up and they're backing each other up on a wide scale, it's going to be because we have a large scale Otsutsuki invasion. I know I'm in the minority here. I know a lot of you guys are hyped for a 5th Great Ninja War popping up, which is why I'm asking you guys, why do you think this should be a 5th Great Ninja War? I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on why Code specifically should be the catalyst for this so-called 5th Great Ninja War. But while you think that over, consider watching these other videos you see on the screen right now.